Are we taping?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I shouldn't say, no, I'm just kidding. We are working on our radial name design, and you guys got a piece of square paper, and you got a piece of tracing paper. Today, you're going to need your compass in class. You're not going to take those home because I don't want you to get stabbed on the bus or the compass or anything else. And then you guys will take home your Prismacolor ebony pencil. If you need a pencil sharpener, please come and see me. So we made 8 designs of our name that should have been like block letters. And what I'm going to do now is fold my paper. It's very, very, very simple. But I wanted to make this video just in case anybody forgot. So, step number 1. The better you fold this, the nicer your transfers will look. If you kind of do a crummy job folding, the whole thing gets a little off. So I like to hold my scissors with the blade closed, or you could use your fingernail. Every time I make a fold, I'm gonna open it back up. So I'm gonna open that back up, try to line everything up the best I can. Eventually I'm gonna cut this and make a nice fold. Open it back up. So we got a plus sign, and now I'm going to do the diagonals. So I'm going to end up with 8 sections here. And if it doesn't line up exactly, just try to make sure the middle lines up, because we're going to be cutting off all this stuff anyway. So that just means when I cut the paper, it wasn't completely square. And then I'm going to open that back up and do my other diagonal. So all these should bisect or intersect. I guess it would be intersect because there's more than 2 in the middle. And that one didn't quite line up on the edges, but that's all right. Okay, so if I look at this, I know it's hard to see in the video, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections. So this is going to be a radial design that repeats itself around in those 8 sections. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to fold it back up. I guess it doesn't really matter how you fold it up as long as it's nice and flat. And if it gets a little bunchy on you, you can always push it down with your fingers like I'm doing here. Next, you're going to take your compass. So you're going to put your compass right in the middle here, and you're going to open it up so you can make the biggest circle you can make. If you can't open that compass up, you twist it and loosen it up a little bit. Let's see. Oh, gotta make it a little bigger. So you want your circle to stay on your paper, so you're lining it up with this edge right there. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to tighten her up. And I'm going to, this is my pivot point, so I don't want that to move. This is the one that's moving, so I have to hold that steady. I can actually move my paper too. Okay, so I'm going to go like that. So I had a little bit of extra room right there, but that's okay. So at least I know I'm going to get a nice circle and it's not going to have flower petals. So that was making your piece of pie. So that's what you're going to do at school. At home, you're going to take your scissors and carefully cut that. This is a little thicker, so actually if you want to use school scissors, if you only have like little kid scissors at home, you might want to cut this at school. So then when I open this up, we'll have a nice circle. Next, you are going to take your tracing paper and you are going to trace yourself your piece of pie. So you might have a really big, huge piece of tracing paper. You can use the straight edges on it so you have less to trace. And then you just cut that out. So don't lose this. You might want to do this part when you know you don't have a lot of paper shuffling around. And my suggestion to you is just maybe masking tape it to, I did give you guys some scrap paper, so if you could masking tape that to the scrap paper, then you won't lose this. All right, and then could you hand me a piece of that paper, please, Brayden, or Brooklyn, thank you. Okay, so this scrap drawing paper is to actually design your radial design. So we're gonna come up with a few. So I'm gonna do one. So see how I'm using my piece of pie as my pattern for everything? 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna have you guys do 4. So you have 4 chances to make it good. So if you do all 4 and they all look meh, then flip it over and try another one. Okay, so you guys came up with 8 ways to write your name. So you're gonna write your name across this. So I'm gonna continue with Ran, which is my nickname. So you want stuff that goes from one side of the piece of pie to the other, and you want it to be open. So even though there's a line right there, that's actually going to be one shape. That's just showing you where the piece of pie ends. I'm just making mine up as I go along, but you had some inspiration. Maybe I'll have my end going this way. And then there's my name. Now that is very simple, very, very simple, but I have an open area here, I have an open area here and here, so all these are gonna connect. Let me try another one. So maybe I want my R going this way. And it's a lowercase r. And this is going to be a cool shape. Maybe I could turn that. You can have closed shapes in the center. That will look like an A. That's sort of a crazy looking N right there. Yours are going to look more interesting because you have more than a 3-letter name. So let me try a crazy one. And they don't actually have to be in order. I could put my A here. That's my A. And there is my N. Okay, so at the very end, let's say I did 4, and I look at them and I say, you know what? I think I like this one the best. You're going to take your piece of pie. You're going to hold it on there. These do get a little bit off, and that's okay. You're going to take your ebony pencil, and you're going to go ahead and trace the one you like the best. So I'm not tracing the outside of my pie here. That was just to show me what kind of area I had. Okay, so I traced it. Yours will be much more interesting than this. I'm just trying to do a simple one that's fast. Then, I'm going to open up my pie. Probably ought to put my name on it. And you're going to hold it onto one piece of pie. And then I'm going to put it graphite side down. So this is the side I drew on. My graphite is touching my paper here. And I'm going to trace over those lines, and the pressure I use to trace over my lines is actually going to transfer those lines I made. You want to try to stay on top of those lines. If you're not going over them, they are not going to transfer. If you have any shapes that ended up being open, like that A, I didn't quite close it all the way, you want to close it. It's going to be too confusing when you go to color it in. And I'm going to let you guys choose your own color scheme. I'm going to pull that off, and voila, it's there. Next, I can go in either direction. I think I'm going to go in this direction. So all I'm going to do is take that and I'm going to flip it. And I'm going to make sure it matches up. And then I'm going to go over it again. So if you have any areas, when I pull this up, it might not quite match up all the way. You know what? That's all right. Or you might find that you do this and you forgot to trace something. That's okay too. Just go back in and trace it, or just redraw it where you think it should be if it's a simple line. This is going to get super, super smudgy. It's going to be a little messy by the end. That's okay. So I'm gonna pull that up. And so anywhere it didn't quite touch, actually it actually did touch most places, but I could just go like that. Or I could gently fill that in. And then I'm going to flip it. So it is flip-flopping all over your piece of pie. So do you see where these are gonna match up and how you're gonna get a pattern? And it's creating this big, huge shape. It's not just your name anymore. It's something else. So I think you guys get the idea. I'm not gonna do the whole thing, but what I need you guys to do for your remote work is get to this point where this is all filled in with your pencil lines. And then when we get back to school, we're going to talk about emphasis, we're going to go over in Sharpie, and we'll talk about color schemes. So your job is to cut this into a circle today. Use your compass to create your pie piece. And then at home, your job is to trace your pie piece. This is what you're going to trace. Onto your drawing paper, come up with 4 designs, and then trace your favorite one. So you don't want to design like this. That's going to be extremely uninteresting. Nothing is going to touch. You're not going to have any new shapes. You want lines that go from one side to the other, or they could stay on one side. That's going to look like a circle, right? This one would look like a heart. Anything that's on this line right there, this line or this line, you're going to get bilateral symmetry. So what I need you guys to do is just have this filled in so we can talk about emphasis and color scheme when we get back. If anybody has any questions, please, please, please email me. Okay, that's it.